Hello, everybody. This is Mrs. Miller back with another week of library lessons. You guys have been doing a fabulous job completing all of the lessons that we've been doing so far. Today, we're actually starting lesson number 10 throughout our home school. So I just wanted to congratulate you for making it this far. We only have a few weeks left, so I encourage you to keep working hard through to the end, the very last day of school, which is just a few weeks away, June 19th. Today, our lesson is going to be on fractured fairy tales. So, as many of you know, fractured fairy tales are stories where the author takes the original version of the story and changes it a little bit. There's lots of ways the author changes the story elements to make it a fractured fairy tale. They might use different characters. They might have the characters do things that are similar but different from the original story. They also might have a different setting. And also maybe they have a different ending or make sure that other things that don't originally happen in the original story happen in their fractured version. So today we are going to take a look at the story Sleeping Bobby. Wait, what? Sleeping Bobby? That's very different than the original story that we are very familiar with called, I can't quite remember what it is right now. Maybe it'll come to me as I read the story. Sleeping Bobby. Let's begin. I really love the author and illustrator of our story today because the authors are two people that you probably have heard of. The authors are Will Osborne and Mary Pope Osborne. Mary Pope Osborne might be a name that is familiar to a lot of you because she's the author of, let me think of it. That's right, Magic Tree House. So for all of you who have read a Magic Tree House book in your life before, today's book is written by the same author, Sleeping Bobby. Once upon a time, a king and a queen wanted a child very badly. Every day the queen would say to the king, "Don't you wish we had a little one to share our kingdom with?" And every day the king would answer, "Yes, my dear, I do. Look how long that table is, and look how far apart they have to eat, away from one another. That is silly." One day, the king was swimming in the royal pond when a frog hopped onto the bank. "I am here to tell you that your wish will soon be granted," said the frog. "Within a year, you will have a baby boy." "Well, thank you," said the king, and he rushed home to tell the queen the good news. A year later, a baby boy was born to the royal couple. The child was so extraordinary and so delightful that the king and queen wanted him to have a very special name. A very special name for the royal prince. I wonder what name we could think of. How about Cornelius? Is that a very special name? How about Francis? That's a very special name. How about Bob? What? Did she say Bob? I think she said Bob. Let me read that again. How about Bob? Asked the queen. It says Bob. I thought I must have made a mistake, but it's definitely Bob. "Bob he shall be," replied the king. Okay. They're writing the story. To celebrate the birth of Bob, the king and queen planned a huge feast. They invited almost everyone in the realm, including the kingdom's 12 wise women, for whom they set a table all their own. In truth, there were 13 wise women in the kingdom, but since the queen had only enough good china to serve 12, one had to be left out. Boys and girls, never a good idea to leave out one of the 13 wise women. Bad move. Bad move. On the night of the feast, each wise woman presented a gift to Bob. One gave him kindness, another courage, a third modesty. The gifts were all qualities that anyone might wish for and admire. Well, that was extremely generous of the wise women. Just as the 12th wise woman was about to bestow her gift, the door of the royal nursery flew open, and the 13th wise woman burst into the room. I told you that was not good to leave her out. "How dare you have a feast and not invite me?" she shouted at the king and queen. "There was a problem with the china," said the queen. "Silence!" And the 13th wise woman, who in her rage did not seem very wise at all, "Invited or not, I have a gift for Bob too. On his 18th birthday, he shall..." Oh, no, I don't feel good about this, boys and girls. I don't feel good about this at all. I almost don't even want to read it. Okay, I will. Okay. On his 18th birthday, he shall prick his finger with a spindle and fall down dead. And with that, she stormed out of the room, slamming the door behind her. The king and queen and their guests were all horrified. But then the 12th wise woman, who had not yet presented her gift, stepped forward. There's still hope, maybe, for Bob. "Perhaps I can help," she said. "This shall be my gift to Bob. On his 18th birthday, he will not die, but fall into a deep sleep that will last for 100 years. The king and queen were silent for a moment. "Is that the best you can do?" the king finally asked. "I am afraid it is," said the 12th wise woman. "Alas, we are not allowed to completely undo each other's curses." "I see," said the king. "Then I will have to take matters into my own hands." Ooh. The following day, the king issued a proclamation. Spinning of any kind was strictly forbidden in the kingdom, and all spindles were to be destroyed at once because he doesn't want them to get pricked at all. Oh, no, I don't think that's going to work. "That should take care of it," he said to the queen. "I certainly hope so," the queen replied. Should have invited all 13 wise women. Ooh. Oh, here we go. With no spindles anywhere to be found and no spinning allowed, the 13th wise woman's curse was soon forgotten. Bob grew up to be kind, clever, modest, and very handsome. By the time he was a young man, he'd had so many good qualities that everyone who knew him admired him tremendously. As they should, with all those good qualities. For Bob's 18th birthday, the king and queen planned a splendid birthday party. On the morning of the celebration, they rode into town to buy the finest presents and provisions, leaving Bob alone. Ooh, on his own. Among his good qualities, Bob had great curiosity and a taste for adventure. There were many parts of the castle he had never explored. So while his parents were out, he began wandering through deserted hallways and peeking into hidden, rooms. Can you imagine being 18 and not having explored all the places where you live? Rooms and parlors. Eventually, Bob came upon a mysterious staircase. "How peculiar," he said. "I don't believe I've ever seen this before." He climbed the steep stairs to a small wooden door. A whirling sound came from the other side. Uh-oh. Bob pushed open the door. Inside, an old woman sat spinning flax at a large wooden wheel. "Hello," said Bob. "What on earth is that?" "It's a spinning wheel," said the old woman. "Would you like to try it?" Yes, please, said Bob, always polite and ready for adventure. Bob sat down beside her. As soon as he touched the wheel's spindle, ooh, a splinter pricked his finger. Ouch, said Bob. Good night, Bobby, said the old woman. That 13th wise woman, she did not forget. Immediately, Bob sank into a deep, enchanted sleep. So deep was his sleep that the entire castle fell under its spell. The king and queen, returning home from their party errands, collapsed in the front hall. The house and the stable surrounding his nest, everyone fell into a deep sleep. Can you imagine this entire castle falling asleep? Oh my goodness. The sweeper in the courtyard sweeping the leaves, the dog in the doorway scratching his fleas. Everyone just simply fell asleep. The cook in the kitchen scolding the scully maid, the flies in the pantry buzzing around the bread, all fell fast asleep where they munched, swept, scratched, scolded, or buzzed. The flames all the hearth slept also. Even the wind slept, and the leaves of the trees. As the castle slept and slept, a great hedge of thorns grew up around it. Years passed, and the thorn hedge grew higher and higher and higher, until its branches covered the entire castle, even the tallest towers. Meanwhile, rumors spread that a kind, clever, modest, and very handsome prince lay sleeping somewhere in a castle hidden by a great thorny hedge. No one knew exactly where the castle was or why a handsome prince was sleeping inside. They only knew that the prince's name was Bob. As rumors of Bob spread throughout the land, young women from far and wide began to search for him. A few found their way to the enchanted castle, but when they tried to pass through the hedge, they were stopped by the sharp, prickly thorns. I don't know if I would go through all those thorns. Nearly 100 years passed, and then one day a kind, clever, modest, and very lovely princess set out into the world to seek her fortune. Notice she was not looking for a prince. In her travels, she often heard people speak of a very handsome prince named Bob, who had been sleeping for 99 years in a thorn-covered castle. She had also heard that many young women had searched for Bob, but all had been stopped by the thorny hedge. If this Bob is all they say, it will take more than some shrubbery to keep me from meeting him, said the princess. Like Bob, the princess had very great curiosity and a knack and taste for adventure. So up and down the land, through woods and valleys, over fields and plains, the princess searched for the hidden castle. Finally, she came upon the gigantic hedge she'd heard so much about. So boys and girls, I wonder what she's going to do. I wonder how she's going to navigate the thorny hedge differently than all the other princesses and women who had come before. As luck would have it, the princess arrived exactly 100 years to the hour since Bob had pricked his finger. Before her very eyes, the thorns of the giant hedge turned to flowers, and the branches beckoned her inside. When the princess got off her horse, the hedge parted to let her inside the castle grounds. Ooh, so the 12th wise woman's now kind of like, not curse, like anti-curse, must be setting in. The princess soon realized that time had stopped for this mysterious castle. She walked past the horse in the stable, the sweeper in the courtyard, and the dog in the doorway. She passed the cook in the kitchen, the flies on the bread, and the king and queen in the front hall. All looked exactly as they had 100 years before, when they had fallen under the 13th wise woman's spell. The princess wandered the still palace, winding through mysterious hallways, peeking into hidden rooms and parlors. At last she came to the staircase that led to the room in the tower where Bob slept. She climbed the stairs and pushed open the door. Then there was Bob, lying on the bed exactly where he had been for 100 years. "Oh my," she breathed. "He is handsome." In fact, Bob was so handsome that the princess could not help herself. She leaned over and kissed him on the lips. Bob opened his eyes and stared sleepily at the princess. "What time is it?" he said. Bob and the princess fell deeply and immediately in love. Holding hands, they went downstairs and found that all the castle had awakened with Bob. The house was munching with his oats. The sweeper was sweeping the leaves. The dog was scratching his fleas. The cook was scolding the scully maid, and the flies were buzzing around the bread. The flames leaped into their hearth, and the wind whistled in the trees. The king and queen yawned and stretched. The princess and Bob asked the king and queen if they could be married as soon as possible, and they were that very afternoon. Bob's birthday party became a wedding celebration, and the king and the queen and the princess and Bob and even the dog in the hallway lived happily ever after. The end. So, boys and girls, I think the moral of this story is you should always invite all of the wise women to your dinner parties. You never want to leave one of them out because she could lay a curse on you for 100 years. Now, boys and girls, the story today, Sleeping Bobby, certainly sounded pretty similar to another story that we know very well. I think that one was called Sleeping Beauty. A little bit different our version was today. I hope you enjoyed our fractured fairy tale. Now remember, boys and girls, only a few weeks left of school. So keep working hard, keep completing your library lessons, and I can't wait to see all of your comments and posts that you make on your weekly assignments. I miss you all and look forward to when we can see each other again. Stay safe and healthy. Bye, everybody.